So I was asked by a client to fix that joint. Let's go. So the first thing to notice is that this is a mortise and tenon joinery, and we can see someone stuck a screw in there, probably just to hold it tight. So my thoughts are removing this whole centerpiece and kind of using it as a template, because this is the piece that we're going to replace. So let's get to it. So I did notice that this piece of wood is actually splitting. I think this joint's a bit too tight and it won't be able to release. So what I'm going to do is just trace out this piece and use that as a reference point until I detach this piece. So I did not manage to get a clean break on this piece, but that's fine. What I have noticed is that now that it's out, this joint was already weak. As you can see, it was like filled in here. I think this whole piece was filled. So probably the best bet is to just break it off and make a new insert. We'll do an inlay there and try to match the grain as best as possible and redo this joint. Okay, so now that our piece is out, all I've done is just transferred this angle onto this side and we have a rough template. So this is much wider than this piece, so it'll give us room to shape and get a perfect fit. Okay, so now that we have our template right, we can go on to milling this piece of kia. Okay, so now that we have everything square and to rough length, and width, what we can do is work on the thickness. So what I've done is just went slightly above that. We can just rule a line. And just remove this portion. Okay, so what I've now done is just place the original piece next to our new one and just use that to reference the shape. Okay, so I think I got ahead of myself there. I'm not actually going to do the side profile first, because if I do, then I lose the straight surface for my template. So I'm actually going to do this rough shape first and then move on to the side profile. Okay, so now that we have that all done, we can move on to the side profiles. Let's go. Okay, so after planing and bringing it slightly over the original piece, we now have the actual shape, and also we left some room for sanding, and we can finesse those proper angles and bends with the sanding process. So what I'm gonna do is flip the piece over and try to get that part. Okay, so now that we have that done, I can go ahead and just mark out a portion that I'm going to remove with a hammer and a chisel, and then I'll use an offcut and do a matching grain inlay. Okay, as you can see, we have some good glue squeeze out, which is an indicator that the joint is nice and tight. Once that dries, I can then go on to planing and sanding according to that shape. Okay, so off camera last night, what I did was place the piece there, and from the front, just scribe out where I needed to cut. Then I was going to do a very sketchy cut on the miter saw, and that's when I realized I was tired. So I decided to call it a night. Now that we all refreshed, I figured the best way to make this cut is just to make a table saw sled, and this would be a much safer and cleaner cut. Okay, so all I've done now is just transfer these marks to the sides and found a center line, and that's where we'll be doing the mortise. Okay, so off camera I've done the most difficult glue up that I've ever done before. However, I did find that there was some racking in the back support. So what I've done is I've closed up those mortises on the center piece. I've added these two pieces in the side. I've redone the tenons on each side and then did a glue up there. Also, in that state of panic, I tried to send a dowel across both front and back to try and prevent that racking, but that didn't help. So what I've done here is just done an inlay, and I'll do one at the back as well. Okay, so now that we're at this point, I roughly just did the shape, and we can go ahead with finish sanding and then go on to staining it.